If you actually want to transform your life this year, you need to stop giving a fuck. I said fudge, by the way. We are insane because we do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. I would be so excited writing down my goals, yet failed year after year, only to repeat this cycle next year. Same thing with you, listening to the same old self-improvement tips that never seem to work. Well, that changes today because I'm sharing with you the game-changing advice from one of my favorite books, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. Mark Manson's approach flips everything you think you know about self-improvement on its head, and that's why it was a New York Times bestseller and has sold over 20 million copies worldwide. His concepts changed my life, and it's going to change yours too. Hey team, it's Amy. I help students ace school and life with holistic advice based on my experiences like studying chemical engineering at Caltech and working as a business management consultant. Before we start on how not to give a fudge, remember to check out my helpful resources linked in the description box. It includes my podcast, Your A+ Life, that will help you build a winner's mindset. If you're committed to leveling up for real, then stop giving a crap about everything else and lock in. Because the first thing that winners know is that if you half-butt something, you might as well not do it at all. Now let's learn with these 4 key points about how you're actually going to make this a killer year and automatically be more successful than ever. Let's go! You have so much potential that I'm not going to let you spend another year not reaching your goals. And the reason you're not reaching your goals is likely because you're missing these 2 keys: focus and enjoyment. When you're in a better mental state, you can work better and more efficiently. But you've told me how hard it is to focus. Also, social media constantly makes us feel bad by showing other people living in paradise, and we're stressed out by the expectations of parents, societies, ourselves. So how in the world are we supposed to get those 2 things? The ultimate solution: stop giving a crap about everything. We are constantly wanting more and more, but we have plenty of resources, TVs and clothes and goods that we don't need. The problem we face is existential and spiritual. We have so much stuff and so many opportunities that we don't know what to give a crap about anymore. This is the core of Mark Manson's book and is critical to understand. You likely care way too much about what other people think of you, having more material achievements, etc., because you simply don't have more important things to care about. I've literally said this in my past video about focus, but you have limited craps to give. Instead of recognizing that your existence is amazing and purposeful, you're distracted by everything and everyone. Over time, all this is going to do is make you more miserable and make it even harder for you to focus, and therefore take you farther away from your ideal self. Ironically, the more you chase happiness and your idea of happiness, the more you are reinforcing to yourself that you are actually not happy. Pursuing something only reinforces the fact that you lack it in the first place.
So great, Amy, just don't care about anything, and then yeah, sure, you'll be happy, but you'll also feel nothing.
No, so here are the 3 important subtleties that Mark Manson makes. The key distinction is that you're not caring about nothing. You just need to care about the things that matter, so the other things seem insignificant in comparison. For example, in high school, we might stress out about our grades and how cool we seem to other people. But every time I went back to China and I visited my grandparents, I saw them getting older, but how much love they had for my sister and me, I would just be overwhelmed by this feeling of gratitude and real happiness because I know that that's what matters. And so all of my worries about high school seemed so unimportant. When I read just the first 2 chapters of The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, I was mind blown, but I also realized why I was able to succeed in school while being very happy and sustaining good health. Yes, to become valedictorian, I did get straight A's, but what's ironic and interesting is that straight A's were so far down on the list of my priorities. I didn't feel pressure from my parents at all, nor did I even consider what grades meant to colleges or what my friends thought. What actually absorbed my mind actively and subconsciously was the potential I knew I had. I was so lucky to be on this earth, and I had pride in being able to solve problems. This isn't just solving problems in math class, but it's a more important problem-solving skill of being creative to put forth my best quality work in the shortest time possible so that I could still have fun with my sister and parents, the people who matter. To succeed in math competitions, I didn't give a crap that my peers thought I was a nerd because I knew that what I was passionate about was most important. I feel so much lighter like a feather with you off my mind. That's the way we should be thinking. Success is so much easier when what you care about is not the end goal success, but the real success is you sticking to your values. Okay, so that was a lot of information and you might need to take some time to internalize it. So here is an actionable tip that you can start today to clear your mind and discover what matters most to you. Thanks to Headspace for sponsoring this portion. If you've been around, you know that my mind is constantly racing. I'm a recovering people pleaser who constantly wants to help everyone. With running a business, YouTube, and now wedding planning, things have been so chaotic, and most notably internally. It's been harder to feel inspired and reflect on what truly matters. Years ago, I dismissed meditation for the longest time, thinking I was too busy and that it wouldn't help. But during my first job out of college, I felt lost and in a bad mental space, so I tried meditation for the first time, which gave me the bliss that I hadn't felt in such a long time. I wish I started earlier, but now that's why I recommend this practice to everyone. Meditating just 5 minutes a day with Headspace has helped me greatly reduce my worries, and the app has great tools like breathing exercises to reduce your stress, soundscapes to improve your focus, like when you're studying, and a variety of different meditations, even holiday themed. Since I'm always brainstorming ways to help my A-team community, it sometimes spills into other areas of my life, making it hard to be present. Even though I try to protect my time and energy, my mind is a constant battle, especially with all the internet noise and societal pressures that we face. For example, I'll think of new ideas right up until bed, in bed, and then get out of bed to write those ideas on my phone, which, as you can imagine, affects my peace. To solve this problem, I started using Headspace's wind down feature. Last night, I used the one called Gratitude Before Bed, and it really helped me recenter. I reflected on how grateful I am for the people who love me for who I am and not my achievements. And I also remembered that, even on days when I'm not very confident in myself, my body is so strong and it takes care of myself. And because I'm thankful to my body, I will treat it even better and take care of it. And so is this positive feedback loop. Mindfulness feels harder to come by in today's world. We say mindless scrolling all the time like it's no big deal, but tools like Headspace are the brave heroes that keep us on the right track. It helps me stay in a positive feedback loop, helping me put myself and what matters first. Whether you're a student, a professional, or just want to be your best self, this small habit can have atomic benefits. If you want to kickstart your mindfulness journey and learn how Headspace can help you, you can try it for free for 60 days. Just use the link in my description, or you can scan this QR code right here. There are always going to be new clothes, always going to be new luxury bags, always going to be a new place to travel and more content that comes onto your feed. If you are selective about what you care about, unhappiness can be limited. Have you ever thought something like,
once I get XYZ, then I will be happy.
But it's a trap. Dun, dun, dun. Because just like that carrot dangling right there, you will always be moving your goalpost and thus never reach happiness. Instead of choosing the good things you want in life, you must choose your struggle. True happiness occurs only when you find the problems you enjoy having and enjoy solving. When I was working as a consultant, I was generally unhappy, making PowerPoint slides and doing other work I wasn't passionate about for 60+ hours a week. I dreamed of being able to help others for a living by creating. And guess what? Although right now I'm living what I consider my dream life and have my dream job, things are a lot different than how I expected. My dream job came with its own set of struggles. Really tough and painful struggles, I might add, like ripping my hair out trying to figure out how to get more people to watch the videos I spent so much effort on. And there's a new level of stress when, to support yourself and your family who is in school right now, you're constantly running on a hamster wheel to please the algorithm. But I wouldn't have it any other way. Because this is the key, I would rather have these painful struggles rather than the ones I had in consulting. Every single thing comes with its own set of problems, just in different flavors. The person you marry is the person you fight with. The house you buy is the house you repair. The dream job you take is the job you stress over. Everything comes with an inherent sacrifice. Whatever makes us feel good will also inevitably make us feel bad. Happiness and success are not about the absence of struggle, because there is no absence of struggle, but it's about the struggle you would rather have. Like when I was a student, I would rather have the struggle of studying longer and earlier rather than the struggle of getting a bad grade that didn't reflect my abilities. If you are able to not give a crap about the pain your goals require, then you become unstoppable. Like real quick right now, if you actually want to achieve the goals you have in your mind, what pain are you willing to endure to get that? Because anyone can say,
oh, I want six-pack abs,
but then they're not willing to pay the price of going to the gym, of eating clean to get that goal. So do you really want to have that goal then? If you want straight A's, if you're not willing to do what it takes, then no, you do not actually want straight A's. Make sure that what you want is what you truly want and comment the pain that comes along with it, that you are willing to endure and that you know will be worth it. The moment you were born, you were dealt a set of cards out of your control. We are all dealt a set of cards, some cards more favorable than others. People are poorer, some are richer. Some are born in first world countries, and others can only dream of making it there one day. However, each person can live their best life. To live your best life, you must believe in yourself and your potential. But what is the enemy of hope? Blame. When you blame the world and external circumstances about why you can't get off your phone, or why you can't go to the gym, or why you spend year after year not achieving the things that matter to you, there is no hope, because you cannot have faith in things that are out of your control. When you blame, you are being a victim. However, when you take the wheel and recognize that you're the driver of your own life, there is hope because you have the ability to change things. You must take radical responsibility and understand that things might not be your fault, but it is always your responsibility. Yes, if you have a bad teacher, it's not your fault, but it's still your responsibility to get that 5 on the AP exam or to get an A. I had a terrible teacher in high school who wouldn't teach, and one by one my classmates dropped out of taking the AP exam. But me, I didn't adopt that victim mentality, and instead I asked, what can I do? What can I do to control the situation? I asked my mom to buy me the AP prep book. I read that from cover to cover, and I got a 5, the highest, top, full score, whatever you want to call it, on the AP test. I lived for over a decade with migraines, which are a debilitating headache that would make me lose half of my vision and made me miss school and regular life experiences. But I took responsibility for what I could control, like being even more diligent about my schoolwork and prioritizing my sleep and health even more. That's the only way in which I could reach my potential, which ended up being able to get the highest GPA ever in my district's history. And you know what makes that even sweeter? Knowing that I was the one in the driver's seat that made that happen. We don't always control what happens to us, but we always control how we interpret what happens to us, as well as how we respond. Last year, I was a bit more delulu than usual, and every time I would ride on an airplane, right before taking off, I would have this feeling like, oh my gosh, what if we don't make it back down safely? One time I even whipped out my phone real quick before it went on airplane mode. I messaged one of my close college friends and I said,
hey friend, just wanted to let you know that if something ever happened, what I really care about in life the most is having all of my ideas that are listed in my phone and on my computer. I just want all of those ideas to have been shared with the world.
It was so delusional. Like, I messaged my friend and she was probably like,
what the heck?
But she responded saying something very nice. The realization here is that in this moment of feeling like I might not make it to the next day, I realized what I would regret so much of not doing, and that's sharing my hundreds and hundreds of ideas in my iCloud notes and in my Notion. And I cared about that so much and so deeply with this newfound sense of urgency that then when I came back from that trip, I immediately got to work and I was in execute mode, putting all of my ideas into video outlines, filming, creating an upload plan, training my editors, trying to make additional content on other platforms just because I felt like I had to live like every day was my last and I didn't want to regret. Even though I was delusional and the danger was all in my head, knock on wood, it is so true that when you are in the face of death, you realize what actually matters, and then you know to live your life to the best it can be. And we never want to get to that point. We never want to act just when we start to feel the consequences of it being too late, because that means it's too late. Mark Manson so wisely says, "You will die one day. I will die one day." And I think he's right. Remember that you're going to die. Thinking about your own mortality isn't morbid, but it actually can be empowering because it forces you, well, not forces, it lets you focus on what truly matters and live fully. Constraints are what allow you to problem solve, and deadlines, like death, are what give meaning to life. Because if life went on forever, well, you might just procrastinate forever. Even if you're young right now, I think you're actually able to live your best life by always having a sense of urgency that death is creeping closer and closer. Because yeah, you can have fun, socialize with your friends, form meaningful connections, of course, but at the end of your life, on your deathbed, you want to think, yeah, I gave my all, and the things that were important to me, I showed that they were important to me. You may feel like you have all the time in the world, but those opportunities in front of you will not always be in front of you. And so the fear of regret has to outweigh your fear of doing the thing. So remember, you're gonna die one day, as Mark Manson lovingly reminded us in The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. On a more fun note that can give you a little boost of motivation every day, 2025 is going to be your lucky year, your lucky number. You know why? It's actually a special number. So I'm going to nerd out a little bit here. 2025. If you add up those digits, 2 plus 2 plus 5, that's 9, right? If the digits of a number add up to be a multiple of 9, that means that whole number is divisible by 9. And turns out, if you divide 2025 by its factors and get its prime factorization, you get that 2025 equals 3 to the 4th power times 5 to the 2nd power, or 5 squared. And that is such a special number. Oh, that just gives me chills. Not to mention that 5 is my favorite number, and having a 5 squared in there is just so special. And plus it has 3 to the 4th power, which is 9 squared. So it's like 2 numbers squared becoming 2025. It's just a special year, man. Often we think about happiness as being on big events like your birthday, getting an A+, but we can be happier and more often if we find joy in the little simple things. So every time on your piece of paper you're writing 2025, make that connection. Remember that the digits add up to be 9, and you can go through that math process if you're a nerd like me. I mean a cool nerd. And this might even help you remember to not write 2024 in January. I'll end with some action items that you can use to change your life right now. Number 1, instead of making the goal to care more about things you want to improve, write a list of things that you want to care less about this year. Number 2, give less craps in your digital space. Cut people out. You have to simplify your headspace and consider whether the people you're following and seeing on social media are actually making you better and whether they're even worth your precious time and energy. That even goes for informational creators. So, for example, if you are following 10 creators that give tips, maybe you being active with those 10 creators is actually bombarding yourself and getting information overload. When you get too much information, just like when you have too many desires in life, your conversion rate is going to be really low because maybe you get analysis paralysis and you convert 0 or only 1 of the tips you learned. However, if you, for example, only follow 3 informational creators, then you can be a lot more focused in absorbing their perspectives and philosophies, and you can convert their advice more consistently. When you increase your conversion rate, you are going to transform your life. Number 3, reflect on what values and meaning far outweigh the pain. For example, you can write down, finding my potential and being proud of my efforts is greater than choosing to study instead of scrolling. And finally, number 4, remember to find your inner peace, like Master Sifu, with Headspace. You can try it for free using the link in my description, or you can scan this QR code right here. Also, I highly recommend this podcast episode with my friend guest Taiki. We talk in depth about how to make the right friends, how to be driven and get yourself to wake up in the morning, and so much more to help you be unstoppable. And also, guess what? Spotify Wrapped said that I was your #1 podcast for 10,000 of you amazing people on the A team. So thank you so much. That's so insane. It's really crazy because I started this podcast this year almost on a whim, actually, because I just had so many things I wanted to share and I thought were valuable to get out into the world. So I didn't even think that I could be on Spotify Wrapped, let alone it being a goal. So that's proof that the advice from today definitely works. Amazing things can happen when you stop giving a crap and focus on what really matters. Good job, A team. Remember that you have such high potential that 2025 is going to be your best one yet. Much love, and I'll see you at the top. Till next time. You need to stop giving a fudge. Oh no, what happened? What's that? Living in New York. You got some sirens always going off. Hopefully they're okay.